Okay.
Yes, it is the same. Okay, cool. We're all on the same page.
You're live.
Yippee!
Hooray! Okay, yeah, I see it. Let me mute this tab so that if it starts like auto-playing or it suddenly is like, I'm gonna show you the streamer an ad, it won't suddenly appear for everyone. Hey, I know it's a short series, it's only episode 1, but it'll be a while before episode 5 comes out. Art stream at the end of streaming episode 1. Maybe. No promises right now because I don't know what the logistics of having that art in front of me is going to be, but that sounds like it should be accomplishable.
We should do that so that more people make art for Of the Devil.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's
That is extremely valid, and I will keep that in mind.
I might do that while we're playing, maybe. Who knows?
Ooh.
Maybe. Okay. So, we're back. We're gonna continue Of the Devil episode 1. If you missed it, this is the second of probably 3 or 4 streams for this episode of what is an episodic game series. There is an episode 0, or what was originally the demo for this game, Of the Devil, that we streamed several months ago. And, I mean, if you're here, you're already on the wrong stream because we're not even at the beginning of an episode. We're in the middle of one. But if you really don't want to be confused, then I would recommend starting with our episode 0, and then watching the first stream for episode 1, and then watching this. Otherwise, you will reserve the right to have no idea who anyone is or what the fuck is going on. You have been warned.
And also,
Yippee.
we'll warn you, no spoilers. If you spoil this for us, we will be mad, and also you're gonna get banned.
Yes, we'll be very unhappy. I had a real great time with the prologue, and a significant part of that was that I didn't know anything going into it, and I don't know anything going into this one. When I played the prologue, I did it for sneaky snacks because I had already played it once and I wanted to show it off because I enjoyed it so much. This time I am blind. None of us know who killed who. We know who's dead, but that's it. And real quick...
Or do we?
I mean, in theory, anyway. And so, real quick, let's go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Aram, also known as voice acting star Tom Laughlin.
Oh.
And I am on these streams sometimes. I was in Skies of Arcadia streams. I'm in the Danganronpa streams that we're doing on Sundays right now. And you can see me around in various places that you can search using your search engine that came free with your browser. And I've also got here my good friend Will.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm on here often. Also, I'm hearing chip crunches. Be mindful of that.
Sorry.
Whoever's... Yeah, that's more or less it.
Jello.
I'm here. Am I sick this week? Only sick nasty.
Whoa.
Does a
Also-
flip.
You hear a loud bone crunching noise and then resounding silence.
You hear
Back to normal.
that one bone cracking SFX that you love.
And I have a whole library of bone cracking noises. People don't know what the hell they're talking about anymore. Also, while I am talking, I will expand upon this. No spoilers also means if we name something correctly, you do not get to say, do they know, chat? You do not get to say smiley face. You do not get to say, don't make jokes. All of those are confirming a guess. Every one of those is a spoiler.
Correct. Oz.
Hello, it's me. I'm here. I'm on Jello streams every here and there. I do art. I'm around and usually having a snack. Yeah, hey.
And Amy.
Hello, I'm Yam. I'm here a lot. I have a burger.
I thought you were going to
Thumbs
say I
up.
have a bird. And I was like, would you get a pet bird, Yam?
No
You
bird.
would know if we had a bird.
I know.
And that's the crew. I don't think there's any other preamble necessary. Let's go ahead and get back into it. Just a pre-warning. I expect to have to adjust the... You know what? I'm just gonna do it now. The the in-game music seems to just be wildly louder than the title screen music from where I had the volume set. So I'm going to preemptively do this, and we'll rebalance if need be, but that's about where I had it at the end of my 5 save files. I forgot I did that.
Oh, which one?
Whoa, which could it be? Only one of them leads to the true ending.
The other lead to of the devil.
Yeah. The other 4 save files are of the devil. All right. So we had our little scene here, and yeah, the music sounds in a good place to me right off the bat. Women jump scare. All right, let's go. If I'm insignificant in the grand scheme of things, I can do my worst and no one will notice.
If power is inherently evil, holding back won't save your soul.
Just fight with both barrels.
And trust the opposition to do the same.
Winner takes,
all.
Funky.
If I had known, I would have ended last stream there. We came in at the last 4 lines of a dual monologue, but it's okay.
But Aram, then you wouldn't have your 5 save files.
It's true. I wouldn't have 5 pictures of 2 gorgeous women. All right.
Oh.
We going down to morgue. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. And the next time that Bridezilla texts you, just turn your phone off. Chatty guy. Must have been due to go on break. When he tried and failed to find the witness's medical record, his datapad had the name blacked out. But I did see that they have Caduceus Executive 3. More expensive than David's, which means they most likely...
How did you do that?
You need to hold the button to get the doors to close faster. Mashing does nothing.
That is not what I meant. There were many others who arrived before us. How did you get us down here so quickly?
Shovel.
Tunk, tunk. Well, I didn't do anything. It was the shovel that did all the heavy work. It was that nurse who escorted us.
Yes, but you managed to get a stranger like him to help you with so few words, so little information.
I've got breasts, you see.
Oh, I don't think you even gave him your name.
I understand. Downloading breasts holds out a plate of breaded chicken breasts. Complete.
That might actually work.
Haven't you heard of the golden rule?
Of course I have. Treat others how you would want to be treated.
Wrong.
Oh.
Treat others how they would want to be treated. He wanted someone that he could vent to. He wanted someone to pay attention to him. And he wanted to feel appreciated. Which meant he'd be eager to help given the chance.
Even just reading someone's mood is quite difficult. How can you know how another person wants to be treated?
I'm an empath.
There are no mind readers. No one can ever know anything about what anyone's thinking. It's that meme of the light path and the dark path. I'm a blank path socio M. Maybe not even themselves. Doesn't matter if they're your parent, your twin, your lover. It'll always be a gamble.
That is not a very comforting sentiment.
Well, I think it's fun.
Only because you're good at it. You enjoying your ice cream or whatever your bowl is?
I'm sorry, it was my teacup, my spoon. I'm really trying hard. I'm just gonna mute the whole time.
Yeah. How did you get good at it?
Same as anything. Observation and practice.
You must have been observing and practicing for a very long time then.
She fell down the shaft.
What?
So we proceed down the hall, bear left, look for the 4th door.
I'm gonna open the one that says morgue on it.
That's your name.
You're right.
Oh my god, hello?
Ma'am?
Hi.
I believe this, just checking
Yeah,
back.
no,
Yes, this is
This
Yam.
is me. I didn't know she had those crazy tattoos.
Yes,
She's got a
centipede
fucking
tattoos.
centipede tattoo. Hi,
That-
hello,
that
I twirl
rules.
your
Oh.
hair.
Oh, and a robot arm.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't
Actually-
notice that either on the previous.
Or is that just a part gauntlet?
No, I think it's a robot. It's got that pretty
It's a
thin
robot arm.
joint there, so I don't think there could be
Yeah.
a human arm underneath.
Oh, hey. Come on in. Don't stand out in there. Cold wouldn't be accurate. Sorry about the chill in here. But I run a little hot.
We get it. It's a game for lesbians.
And you can see my roommates never complain. Yumi Sato, medical examiner.
Let's look at her profile. March 3rd. Coming up before too long. It was Emma's birthday yesterday. Did you
Yippee!
celebrate? Because you should have. Likes, accessories, reality TV, palm reading, dislikes, social media, dress codes, and ebooks. Loves to make new playlists. Hates to throw out old clothes. Most proud of my weekly meal prep.
Chat,
God.
Yumi, your mom.
Your mom collapsed. She's in the morgue, Yumi. Dr. Sato, just the lady I wanted to see. Though I didn't expect that I'd get to. The fact that they've assigned a medical examiner and not some ad or junior means...
Oh, you can just call me Yumi. And you're
Morgan, I represent the deceased.
the deceased. Oh, the deceased. Asher D. Wait, really? That's weird. I thought this time slot was scheduled for a group of noble PR people who...
I know, weird, right?
Well, what the hell do I know? I was getting tired of hosting Megs anyway. Gotta finish typing up this report before we talk shop. And in the meantime, feel free to make yourself at home.
Ooh, feel free to look at shit. Let's read. What's this? The hospital's getting renamed? No, guess it's some other hospital that got snapped up. Hospital renamed to thank Ikaria family. Let's see, I think, because this was a read prompt, I think we're getting quizzed on this, so let me skim this real quick. Plotter Memorial Hospital, in recognition of their generous donations. Philanthropic, if they paid for renovations to the orchestra hall and the retrofitting of... for drawing blood... Oh, I thought they were going to say, they're vampires! Back before the 50s. Cutting earth... Oh, organized crime. Renegon Medical, over 50 have moved out of the business world into the upper echelons of society. The Neobility. The Red Decade? I want to Google the Red Decade. That sounds awesome, but not in a good way.
It's just what they called the second wave of McCarthyism.
It's just what they called the second wave of cherry Kool-Aid that wiped out Boston after the molasses got done.
It took a decade?
It was a lot of Kool-Aid.
It was very slow. We was very confused because the molasses was very quick.
Oh, okay. Do we get quizzed? Nope, I guess not. The Ikaria. Guess they weren't always in the same line of work. Now they're plastering their name wherever to get themselves a new image. All the Neobility are eager to prop up their image wherever they can. But that must go double for the Ikarias, assuming the truth about their criminal past is anywhere close to the rumors. That's a lot of screens. It's got to be diminishing returns on productivity.
Why do you have so many monitors, ma'am?
You can't just ask someone that.
Good question. Every quarter when they do inventory and budgeting, they ask me if I need anything, and I never do, so I submit a blank form.
Aram, if I can request that you click to the next dialogue box when the person reading's at like the 70-something% mark, it just shaves like 3 seconds off of every line.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
But I guess a while back there was a +1 in a spreadsheet somewhere, and no one's ever corrected it, and so boom, I get 4 new monitors every year.
Do you run out of things to use them for?
Sometimes. But this year I started running 2 dramas at once when I'm doing rote work, which helps.
Watching 2 television shows at the same time helps you do rote work?
Helps me use up the screens.
I see.
Let's see.
I can't fathom doing that. My brain would melt.
I want to look at the sacks. Why can't I look at the sacks?
Because they're probably like bodies or
Negative
something.
review on
garbage
Steam.
bags.
Can you imagine walking into a morgue and that's how they're packaging?
The body-
Well, we're done with it. Are these all dead bodies?
One would hope so.
I only meant that I'm surprised to see them stored here. It suggests a backlog, which suggests a higher murder rate than the public data would lead one to expect.
Do you only examine bodies for the police, Doctor?
Oh, I wish. Nah, most of my job involves confirming COD on natural deaths and insurance adjustments. Insurers want to blame the mod for failing. Mod makers want to blame the stiff for not exercising enough. Family says the company insurance plan will pay for mods, but not a gym membership. Yeah, that whole wall there is suspected defective liver mods, suspected leaking internal bio battery, suspected CCIC.
CCIC? I don't see.
Climate change induced complications.
You can prove that climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death?
Very, very rarely.
If it can be proved, what does that mean for the family of the deceased?
Plus or minus 14% of life insurance payout.
Hmm.
I mean, it's most of what I do. I don't dislike my job, it's just so much of what I do boils down to telling a bunch of cheapskates how to split the dead man's bill. It's enough to make homicide feel like a breath of fresh air.
Would you like to go on a date with me?
She finishing up over there?
Alright, okay. So what's up?
Thanks for your time, Dr. Sato. My first question would be...
What was the cause of death?
Oh, wow, hi there, cute android. I didn't even realize it was really cute. Skin is that's remarkable. Even just looking close, you can tell they really are warm.
Aw,
Still not quite human body temperature. They've come a long way. The early gens all looked flushed, felt like they were always running a fever, and they ran like it too. Even 2 years ago, the average warm android only lasted.
Sorry, but the circumstances surrounding this particular case call for expediency.
Right. So, what can I tell you?
Were you able to determine the cause of death?
Well, cause of death, sure. We got that much figured out at least.
Why doesn't that sound particularly reassuring?
Dr. Asher died of a respiratory failure. Not enough oxygen in the blood, not enough blood going to the brain. Root cause being widespread depression of the central nervous system.
What would the symptoms be? What would it have looked like?
Lightheadedness, followed by dizziness. Then headaches, slurred speech, exhaustion, loss of consciousness, and finally respiratory arrest. Report shows that the EMTs tried intubation, then resuscitation through electrical stimulation repeatedly. By the time they got to the emergency room, they were desperate enough to attempt direct artificial blood oxygenation, but it was too late.
And you're certain of all of this?
Oh, well, most of it, sweetie.
Most of it?
Yeah, it's turned into quite the puzzle, and I'm used to having more pieces to start with. I was surprised a man as rich and famous as him didn't have any kind of biomes, but his files show...
Wearable technology or implanted mods that monitor or provide feedback on an individual's vital signs. Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Wow.
He wasn't a viable candidate for modding.
Oh yeah, that's right. Without that kind of first-hand tech, we don't have nearly as much data as we'd like. But he was extensively monitored from the moment the EMTs arrived. We're very certain about our conclusion.
Did you find anything else unusual about his body in your examination? Cuts?
He was
or
dead!
Fuck! Cuts or bruises?
No injection sites, nothing in any cavities.
Nothing at all, huh? The police mentioned a tox screen.
Yeah, that's the thing. They ran a tox screen when he first arrived, typical diagnostic intake procedure. Based on the emergency call, they figured he must have overdosed on something, but the tox screen gave them nothing. After he died, we performed the broadest screenings possible. Nothing.
So, were you forced to conclude this was a natural death?
I didn't give up that easily. I took blood samples and compared their makeup with what was on record in previous medical history, and I managed to isolate a single, non-naturally occurring chemical compound that wasn't there before.
I compared
That's
the
pretty
makeup.
insane, actually.
He was wearing way more foundation than before.
Oh, handsome.
What was it? Some exotic toxin from a different hemisphere?
I wish. I ran it through every available database we have access to, and even a few I only sort of have access to through some friends. Not only does it not match any known poison, it doesn't match the chemical makeup of any registered compound.
So, a designer drug, huh?
That seems to be the best explanation.
The hell did you do, David?
Drugs.
You said it didn't match any registered compound. What about compounds that aren't registered?
Those friends of yours, private sector folks?
Yeah, and pharmaceuticals.
If one of them patented a new compound, a new drug, what would keep its formula from going on the record?
In the private sector, intellectual piracy is the norm, so you're expected to protect your research aggressively.
Patent first, find a use later?
Yeah, a patent would have to at least describe your compound in brief, but depending on what country you file in, I've heard it may be considered prudent to keep the actual chemical makeup off the record.
Smart. Using international IP law as your own personal minefield.
How so?
Whenever you're ahead, patent as much as you can, as fast as you can, but bury the formulae so no one knows where it's safe to walk. Anybody small and ambitious comes along, finds a new drug they're excited about, you flip up your card, let them know you came up with the idea years ago, and that you'll give them death by 1,000 court dates if they so much as blink. Wouldn't work on anyone your size or bigger. They could punch back. But for the rest of the field,
Wow, you corporate lawyers are scary.
I'm not a corporate lawyer.
So you came up with that strategy just now?
So it's possible that this poison is actually a known substance? Something that the hospital could have easily identified?
If it wasn't considered a trade secret.
Yes. Unfortunately, that is a possibility.
Still, just because a drug is new, that doesn't mean it's original.
Does the effect that this compound had remind you of any other drug? Maybe one that's prescription only or a controlled substance? One you might know by another name but with a patented structure?
Mott's applesauce.
Oh,
Sorry, sweetheart. It's a general depressant. There are a lot of drugs that have that effect on the body, and they come in all shapes and sizes from all kinds of places.
If the effect was unremarkable, what about its strength? Could you estimate how much of this stuff he had in his body, all told?
Not precisely, no. Not without detailed knowledge on its half-life. But I guess it must have been about 20 milligrams.
is 20 milligrams a lot?
Not for a medicine. So this wasn't just an overdose of something relatively harmless, then.
No, not if 20 mil was enough to crash his entire nervous system.
Thank you, Yumi.
Of course. So,
We got David's autopsy.
I was just like, so you're like, no, let me read this.
Yeah, just hang on. Hold up, I gotta Google something. Also, what is emergency console? Oh, yeah, okay, this is the one, the pad used in his thing. So we got the autopsy and the talk screen.
He died!
Lost consciousness at 8:03, declared dead at 8:25. Respiratory failure, 20 milligrams of unknown substance. What the hell is talk screen? Attending physicians back to med school. Send apologies to attending physicians. These readings are a nightmare.
Very silly.
that's funny. She live edits her autopsy.
So alcohol was the only item positively identified on the talk screen.
But there's still something in
There's
there.
something.
You ready to view the body? We could skip it if you want. I know most people get squeamish around corpses.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay then, let's get started. All right, I'll just step out for a moment to give you some privacy.
Yes, please. Thank you. The last time we talked was on a Sunday. You were complaining, I remember that. It's the principle of the matter. Right, you'd ordered this cheap piece of shit sculpture or something by mistake. I believe it was called The Thinker! And it came damaged, and you wanted to send it back for a refund. I would love if he was poisoned by some angry Etsy vendor because he refunded a statue.
Bro, it's the marble, I keep telling you.
It might just tie together. I'm not ruling out the possibility. I gently reminded you how, with your salary, it was literally not worth your time. And I kindly offered to throw it out for you since you're having so much trouble letting go. You're only offering because you want to see how loud it sounds shattering at the bottom of my trash can. I denied it, even though you were right and it was obvious. I should have let you have that one.
I thought that he would look different.
Hmm?
But he looks exactly the same as I remember. His skin is pale, and he's very still. But his face is the same. His hair, his hands.
You were expecting something more drastic?
The last time I saw him, he was alive. He smiled, and he told me he would see me soon. Now he's dead. Something is gone.
David sits up. Congratulations!
I
Happy
got you.
birthday! Surprise!
They only use 18 mil of that, right? They did 20.
He dies again.
I took my Romeo and
He
Juliet
suddenly-
die for a little while poison.
He suddenly sits up, looks at Sarah. Do you believe this story? Our boys in the writer's room fluffed this one up.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
And I can't find the difference. I'm trying to look harder, but I think I might just not be capable of it. And I wonder why. Why I was created to not be capable.
Could be an issue of skill.
Fuck
Are you straight up saying I have a skill issue with my dead dad?
Skill issue. Kill your own parents and then come back and talk to me. Or maybe it's not something that can be seen no matter how hard you look. But it's there. I guarantee it. I've seen the transition enough times to be sure that between life and death, the distinction has significance. The dead, at the very least.
You're going to smoke? Here? Now?
I'll pay the fine.
That's not the issue.
Were you expecting me to fall to pieces? Real boys grieve in all kinds of ways, Pinocchio.
And some don't grieve at all, it seems.
I'm a cold woman, sorry to disappoint. The hell? Why the hell won't this thing light?
Adonai? You have your cigarette backwards.
Haha.
There was a mirror at the crime scene!
Give me 1 second. I thought I was safe to burger.
All right, back to
This is Amy's line as she puts the burger back in the fridge, sadly.
This
Puts the burger back in the same freezer that the bodies go in.
It's efficient.
All right, that's back to cold storage for him. So, need anything else?
Can you send me the chemical makeup of that compound you isolated?
Sure, for what it's worth. Let me just...
Got carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, with hexagonal structures. So it's organic. But there's a number of metallic elements too. And if you had to speculate on its intended use based on what we know of its structure?
Well, it certainly acted like a depressant, binding to receptor pathways and affecting the balance of neurotransmitter reuptake.
Did he literally just drink an alcohol that... So, with antidepressants and any SSRI, you're not supposed to take, like, alcohol or anything like that, because what it does is it effectively, like, traps... And I'm gonna say this wrong, but I know the gist of it, so any science heads in chat, help me out. It effectively, like, holds onto whatever antidepressant you have in your system, and it can cause a buildup, and then so it'll basically like all kind of go off at once, and that's what fucking serotonin syndrome is. So like, I don't know how that would lead to asphyxiation though. Yeah.
Depressants are pretty rare in the designer drug scene.
True. People are always looking for the higher high or a crazier trip, but a more powerful depressant will just make you fall asleep. Not much need to hit up the gray market for that kind of experience.
No, there's not. I see. Thanks again. You've been extremely helpful during a very difficult time.
Hey, anything you need, give me a ring.
That's
Okay,
very
drops to one knee.
Rockford's orders have got me on call, so I'm already getting overtime for the weekend, for the whole weekend.
Glad to hear it.
Goodbye, Yumi.
And goodbye to you, Greenie.
My name is Sarah.
Not
Nice to
anymore.
meet you, Sarah.
Override
I am-
designation. Greenie, kill.
Adonai, I am feeling new things.
Is petting a cat.
Wow!
Up on ramps and down off ramps, above skywalks and under tram lines.
You do not need to narrate what the highway is every time, Adonai.
We get in the left lane, that guy's going kind of fast. We move over to the right lane. Now that guy's going kind of slow, and we should have stayed in the left lane, but now that guy's moved up, so we're gonna have to fall back a little and just hope that he speeds up after us. The buildings get
Cars.
progressive.
Cars going all speeds, some fast and some slow.
Jesus
just like the
Christ,
people
Umi Neko,
driving-
kill me!
Just like
Oh, that guy's jaywalking. He's over the hood. I think he's dead. Reverse real quick. He's fine.
I think he's dead. Reverse real quick. Now he's definitely dead.
Oh yeah, somebody ran into me the other day with their car. It was just a little nudge, but like, bro, I was at a crosswalk walking across, and I thought he was good, but he looked up and was like, "Po."
Oh.
The buildings get progressively more polished as we head into the most economically developed part of the city. Corporate territory. National headquarters for the likes of Howe Industries, Lockcoon, Tethys, Neath, each of them sheltering their own micro-city of employee accommodations beneath their skyscraper shadows. Whale Fall. The entirety of the ocean floor coming together to feast and grow and live. Live off the fetid, rotting fat of the leviathans that swallow generations of people by the mouthful.
Weight is commonly listed, and my weight is... Do I really have to disclose that?
Noble lays claim to one of the largest shadows in the city, a towering nerve center for the whole nation's android industry. It's meant to be intimidating, I'm sure, but today I'm glad that Noble keeps such a sizable physical presence here. I need answers about David and his work on Sarah. Answers I'd never get browsing the company website or speaking to a representative.
Synopsis, relationships. There are typically trivia sections as well. Should I start there?
Noble will have their guard up, of course. But even that will tell me something. Where they let me walk, who they let me talk to,
History.
whom they let me talk to. Their efforts at performative transparency and clumsy obfuscation will...
How did you know my father?
What?
I'm sorry, did I interrupt your brooding?
Excuse you, I was monologuing.
I noticed you would not help me with any of these papers.
No. What did you ask?
My father. I know
Is
you
that
were his
Jello or
friend.
Aloha saying that in chat?
no,
I think
I'm
that's
back. I guess none
okay.
of you noticed, but my computer blacked out for a couple minutes there.
Oh,
Dang.
No, we're good.
Okay.
but what was your relationship like?
Can't you just scroll through our socials?
Father avoided social media, and your online presence is not significant,
Saying I don't have enough followers?
essentially.
You are the killer. Blue sky.
We went to the same college.
You studied programming?
Oh, no. I studied all kinds of different things as an undergrad, but not technology.
Is that a good way to prepare for law school?
I wasn't preparing for law school. Or anything else, really.
Her eyes.
David, though, he had talent, and he knew he wanted to do something with it. He studied programming, robotics, discrete math, cybernetics,
Discrete math, obvious math.
obvious math.
What classes did you share then?
Obvious math, which has those special numbers like mega 2, which is 2 but written very big. So you can't
Upside down 4.
The obvious 5.
Business ethics.
in your face 8.
I was the second best student in the class, and he...
Was number 3.
We hated the guy in first.
He was the one who asked the most questions, not sure about his actual ranking. He found the course challenging, and I clearly didn't, despite being younger. Guess he felt burned. He'd come up to me after class to argue, and sometimes to ask for help.
Father always talked about socializing like it was a chore.
Sorry, chat. Discrete math.
Yeah.
What's 10 plus 2? Answer. What's it to you?
I don't know, my memory ain't so good.
But you're gonna have to pay me a discrete 10 and 10 in my hand.
You're gonna have to
if you want an
pay
answer.
me a discreet George Washington.
It was kind of you to give him a chance.
What, like I was some kind of social butterfly? The belle of the ball?
You weren't? Also, nice chips.
I'm so sorry.
One Sunday night, he knocked on my door all panicked, saying he was in bad shape for this tech course. There was a midterm or something the next day. I couldn't make heads or tails of the material, but I did my best to at least quiz him. Wasn't satisfied, though. Wanted to cram the rest of the night.
Father had to cram for an undergraduate midterm?
Did I say something scandalous?
He's been called the founder of modern programming.
Yeah, well, even founder types can have poor time management when they're 21. He was already fried by that point. Wasn't hard to tell what he was really asking for. So I went and stole a study aid for him.
You stole a controlled substance just to help him with studying?
No, that'd be insane. No, I just pocketed some breath mints from the common room. Told him to pinch his nose and swallowed fast, 'cause the taste is so strong.
You gave him a placebo.
He already knew the content as good as he ever would. What he needed was to sleep. He could barely keep his eyes open by the time I got back from my daring heist. Didn't take much convincing him for him to rest his eyes just until it kicked in.
And the test?
B+, I think.
I'm surprised that Father stayed close with you after that. You stole and lied to him.
I stole and lied for him.
Frantically writing notes.
And David understood that. He was good at understanding things without me having to spell them out. But I guess that's not the kind of thing that gets passed down through programming. Anyway, we kept in touch after that. First year of grad school, he published this paper.
The Turing solution. A framework for programming adaptive linguistic heuristics?
Heuristics.
Heuristics. Damn,
Heuristics.
first year of grad school, Jesus.
One of his advisors came up with that title. David thought it was way too cocky, but
But it still hasn't failed any known Turing test in the years since.
don't act like you're the one who deserves credit for it. Called me one weekend asking for advice on how to handle all the attention. Job offers, interviews, apprenticeships, invitations to immigrate.
What did you tell him?
Gave him another mint.
I don't remember telling him anything, actually. A lot of our conversations went like that. He would talk to me about whatever personal or professional problem was stuck in his head that day, and I would nod while he wore himself out. And at the end of the conversation, he'd thank me, even though I hadn't offered a single word of advice.
Oh my god, Morgan was his programmer's duck.
Oh my god. He took Noble's... Also, before we completely move on from it, I predict... I'm not offering many predictions. I'm not really going to try and predict much here, but I will predict that the breath mint placebo anecdote is going to be a parallel to something that happened in the course of the events related to his death.
I think that as well, but I also think that it helps show us that David is the kind of person who's willing to take medicine from anybody he trusts.
That's true,
even
yeah.
if it's like low key.
Yeah.
Another side prediction I'm making just based on art, and it might be crazy here. I think she dyes her hair. I think her hair is brown.
Maybe.
As we'll see. Jello and I were talking after Jello played episode 0 about the significance of Morgan's eyes sometimes showing the red iris and sometimes being pure black. And I just read it as a visual motif indicative of her mood and interiority, but outside bet maybe she has cybernetic eyes and it's literally doing that. That would be funny.
I just read it like it's her Kira hue.
Yeah. He took Noble's offer and they took over his education, paid him to work on his master's during the day and attend corporate training at night. And whatever else Noble may be, they were smart enough to start listening to him early.
You are referring to his one-point doctrine.
Quality over quantity.
Simple and elegant, just like his code.
Simple and elegant. But anathema to a global corporation with supply chains designed for maximum capacity and just-in-time manufacturing. But obviously they got over their distaste fast enough. Span of a few years, Noble's gone from making manual labor ads for meager profit to being the world leader in intelligence as a service. Even as he was making money hand over fist, he still kept in contact with a nobody like me. I moved to the city for my apprenticeship. He helped me put a down payment on my apartment, then made up excuses as to why he couldn't help me move boxes. So, is that enough detail for you? Thoroughly convinced that he and I were, in fact, friends?
I am. But, Adonai, the favor that you owe him, what was it for?
That's private. Understand? I have zero interest in talking about it with you.
Was it the Christmas party photo?
Shut the fuck up, I'll kill you. Say you understand.
Grabbing your throat! I understand, Adonai. We will be arriving shortly. Shall I send word ahead?
Just tell them that David's lawyer is here.
But we're not here. We're almost there.
Killing now. Murdering with fingers.
Robot strength.
Let's call this one a draw. Drops down in a Family Guy pose.
That's reasonable.
I've been here before. Sat right here in this lobby, waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor. Could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me, folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental in the scale of their hubris, they needed to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints.
I just imagine like a dramatic shot of them walking, different shots cutting back and forth from Morgan's face to the surrounding stuff as you get her narration. Then it just cuts to Sarah and goes, "Baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark."
I've learned a new song. Would you like to hear it at 500% volume?
You can listen to You Get What You Give, but there's like a copyright. It's the Joe Biden inauguration live version.
But you can only listen to it at unlistenably loud volumes.
The greatest minds of each generation coming together justifying the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses.
Adonai, is something bothering you?
Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. Inspect. Ain't these the things they have on the Citadel in Mass Effect?
To think this is only one room. This complex is so massive that it doesn't even feel man-made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here.
That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere.
I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here?
Probably because of what they do to the ones that get in. I'm kidding. Though I don't have a better explanation.
I shall release birds. She runs outside and starts grabbing pigeons.
Opens her mouth.
Yeah, I was picturing birds from the mouth, to be honest.
I'm full of owls! They changed the logo again.
Noble Electronics.
How's it feel stepping in here? Is this some kind of religious experience for you?
It's just the corporation where my father worked.
Careful now, or they'll burn you for heresy against the company.
They will not! You said it again, the company, as if it's a proper noun. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you?
So it can't obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that.
Is it just a part of the corporate culture?
Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is. One of the biggest there's ever been. We mere humans can't hope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are.
You know who would fucking love this game?
Who?
Who did?
Austin.
Oh, Austin would really
yeah.
like this.
I should ask next time I talk to him or Mo if they're aware of this and have played it, because yeah, no, this is right up his alley. So imagine what it's like working for them. You live in company dorms, work in company quarters. Wherever you go, that logo's above your head. You eat, sleep, and breathe on Noble's timetable at its discretion.
And the only thing you're allowed to breathe are noble gases.
Ooh.
Oh.
When you spend your whole life inside of it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is.
But what happened to Barnes? Is it just Noble now?
It's like what Stalin did to Trotsky.
Oh. So much energy. So many people, all so intent.
You kidding? It's Saturday, the place is half empty.
But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays?
Well, all the parents do, so they don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Everyone else flips a coin, I guess.
All these people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. What could they all possibly be doing?
Making work for themselves.
You can be very cynical, can't you?
Yeah, I'm terrible. But that guy over there has just been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood's starting to sour, and if they just send me the first link in their infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'll make them wish...
Morgan?
It's someone who knows her by
I think
name.
this is me.
It could be you, it could
just
be...
advance the dialogue
It
and
could be
check. You
Jess
don't need to-
again. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to guess, Jello. Jeez. That's me.
Hey there, Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Eastern Division, Evan Dawes.
Evan Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. What's a name compared to your place in the hierarchy?
You seem familiar. Have you...
I'm David's lawyer.
Oh, then we must have...
Apologies. Let me first say how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else at the company must be going through a lot right now.
As if it's a proper noun.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
You're welcome, but it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to PR or legal right now, our workloads in QA are... never mind. How can I assist you?
Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android.
Yes, that is correct.
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job.
Look at that. It's definitely custom.
Gee, you think? Good thing I sought out an expert.
Warm. Goes without saying. Reminds me of the A16 Premiere, if anything. The barcode's clearly printed, no visible defects. But you're right, it doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, we sent you to the right man for the job. Now we just need to go to the right place.
Not far, I hope.
It's in the building.
In the building. That could mean anything from down the hall to half a day's hike.
The production line on B9 should have everything we need.
You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters?
B9's a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and in what shape or size, and then they come down to the basement to see how the sausage is made.
I have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests? Smart! So long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets.
No need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here.
No kidding. There are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see. Who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way? Clearly nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it, so if they tried to claim ignorance about anything, it's gonna piss me off. Lead the way. Really is fully furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see all this in person, you know? Would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment?
No problem. I've got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it.
I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from, and why David wanted me to take custody. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime.
Adonai?
Wouldn't want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. Look at the cup. Does it have the poison?
Can you fucking imagine?
What's being built out there?
Our top of the line, brand new, bestsellers, the Animate 16, warm.
Looks kinda cold out there.
We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Slows the organics already tuned metabolic activity to a minimum.
That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh.
Ugh.
Flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal.
Oh. Well, all the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process.
Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini, but how do you get the synthetic and the organic to work together?
You make them fall in love.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Heartbreak killer.
I
Yeah.
hate everyone here.
In this special Valentine's Day episode of The Devil, the Heartbreak Killer's identity will finally be revealed.
You hate everyone here? That's funny. So do I. Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began to work on the worm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle. And it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just...
Right.
No, it
For
was not right.
2.0, yeah, they work backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin. But digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end.
Didn't the muscles flex when you passed an electric current through them?
They'd flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough to be precise enough for facial expressions. Looked like puppets strung up on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. Ugh!
You must have figured something out. The A-16 wouldn't look out of place on the runway.
Thank you. We try. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just brought out half a dozen of them, but,
Right.
bought out. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just needed to get a mechanical nervous system to move. Living limbs.
Very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human.
High precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity.
So you had to do the opposite.
Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. So I'm wondering, did David try and something like... Did he try to I'm seeing like little links here between like the neurotransmitter thing and how he wasn't a candidate for mods or anything like that. So I'm like,
Oh, that's an interesting idea if he was trying to do something related to mod manipulation with his body that wasn't naturally able to. Where did that breakthrough come from, Dr. Asher?
Partly, he led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to the individual muscles across the chassis. But the synthetic analog serotonin, and that was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Young.
Young. Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Young before? Sounds impressive.
She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade.
So Young collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went into Sarah that makes the android so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Young, did he partner with her on this?
Scanning.
Of the people we know about, if it's a fair play, no wacky twist, Ace Attorney style case, to me, it really looks like the only plausible murder suspects from the people we've met are Jess Starling and then Helen Young. But I'm not taking for granted that it is going to be just straightforward like this. It goes by Ace Attorney logic, given they already played with it in the episode 0. So
Morgan is the killer in every case.
yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I could imagine that, yes. And then she's not the killer in the final case. I don't think that's gonna happen, but, like, I think that's a valid way to construct this game.
An inhaler left out on the desk. Probably a half dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. Dawes, the inhalers, they're distributed by the company, correct?
Oh, yeah, HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. You know, real hell shit.
Other corporations do it the same way?
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so... Can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you, who knows how much in lost efficiency.
Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says.
Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days.
These days?
Man, back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years where they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp.
Popped greens?
Yeah, they used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow a red after brushing your teeth, and get into your bunk fast. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement, like going from torches to the light bulb. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust dosage in real time. Overdoses are way down.
Well, that's great to hear.
Trainees under me don't realize how good they got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge.
Oh, Jesus, what the... Clarify. Does this mean exactly what I think it means, or does it mean something more
I think
specific?
it does.
The okay, no, it is exactly just that. Or shitting yourself.
Pooping.
Yeah, I know, right? uphill in the snow both ways. This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If Dawes does quality assurance, is it some kind of android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her?
Little.
I can't get over these Registeel noises for every single time you pull over something.
What have we got on this data pad? Some kind of write-up? Sullivan's Peak. By the uncanny... Oh, okay, this I already know about.
Oh.
Simple and easily applied for the automated dependence. Yeah, there's a very simple primal truth. Things that, yeah, resemble the living. And we like things that resemble the living. We like things that are indistinguishable from it. But there are deep, deep trenches between those two ends where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. Yeah, no, this is a real pre-existing term. It's why...
So it's like the opposite of Uncanny Valley?
No, it is the Uncanny Valley.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe Sullivan's Peak is. Let's see. I propose we bridge these gaps by looking on Sullivan's Peak through the lens of his characters, and he demonstrated that the Uncanny Valley does in fact have its own peak on the other side, a point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable. I see. So Sullivan's Peak is the theoretical local maximum that you can reach by making something human enough that you've passed through the Uncanny Valley and gotten to good territory again, beyond which is just more Uncanny Valley, apparently.
Gotcha. It's the exact Goldilocks zone.
Yeah. Once you reach Sullivan's Peak, traveling any further only has diminishing returns. We will soon reach a point...
Looks like you forgot to sign in on this device. Drop your thumbprint below and we'll get you squared away so you can keep reading.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I bumped into you in the hall and took the last 4 digits of your credit card there, buddy. We'll very soon reach a point at which the designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable. A hard stopping point for technological progress. Interesting. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as a gag? Or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be... wary. I mean, they wouldn't have this if they were just dismissive
why would
of
they
it.
have it if they didn't give a shit?
If the peak does exist, they'll be coming up on it fast now that androids are warm, except I didn't get chips, so maybe this is wrong? Maybe it wasn't for chips? I don't know. Oh, no, there it is, okay.
Oh, thank God. Whew.
Oh, I thought I made a mistake and I was gonna have to start over from the beginning of the case. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cruel. If Sarah's any indication of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. Something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass, out on the floor there are temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So, you add the blood towards the end.
You mean the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place?
Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such, but it isn't red. It's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red.
Oh, right, sorry. I barely noticed it at this point. The color's natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment.
Changing it from blood red to psychopop pink.
I thought that chromofuge or android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors.
That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, no one bats an eye. Looks like that's our last Bjorp.
Oh, it looks like there's something else over there.
Maybe. We'll know if they fast forward us after this. Feels like I've seen this before. That's right, there was one in David's lab.
That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer. Nanofacturer for short. Real high quality piece of machinery. Each of them built in-house by Randic Mechanics.
What does it do?
Nano-level flash fab. Basically, a 3D printer for nanomachines.
You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids?
The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that need to make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution.
3D printer for nanomachines. So what kind of ink does it use?
Children. Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, building blocks.
Well,
They
there you
feed
go.
into the nano... Yeah. They feed into the nanoprinter and assembles the machines particle by particle.
Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple nucleic acids. Must be time-consuming.
You would think, but Randic cracked the code on parallel microfracturing. The inside's crystalline, sprawling, it's like an ant's nest. Raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution.
Directly into David's teacup.
Oh,
Distilled
Oh,
nectar.
sorry. David's teacup is a special paper that was published.
Distilled nectar swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes.
Be very
How's that for
funny
a cup
if
of joe?
if at one point someone was like, "Oh, are you familiar with the concept of, in quotes, David's teacup?" It's when the No, I'm just fucking with you. That one doesn't exist.
Yeah, we don't got that one.
Nectar. It's sticky?
Oh, it can be, depending on the desired output, but the door vacuum
to be sticky.
Sarah in
sorry.
the back just like
That's
clapping her hands.
That's our production gnome. Get back in the vent.
No, you can't put me in here again. I was promised nectar, Dodds.
Stop this.
Oh, we're sorry.
But the door
David's
vacuum
teacup
seals
posits
once cookies into...
the theoretical maximum sticky level a gnome wants their nectar.
I want it to be like a fly trap in my mouth.
Back in the hole, David! Pokes him with a broom.
I want to be a different gnome by the time I'm done drinking it.
Congrats on the transition.
That's the
future's
teacup.
wild.
Anyway, the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry.
It's completely spill-proof. Oh, look at all the fucking bandages on this poor guy.
What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips David could have brought home from the office one day.
Sprite said next bit.
He must have bought his own for some reason, so he could get murdered with it.
All done? You ready to get the ad handled?
Thanks for humoring me.
Can you have it step into the scanner?
As he says.
Understood.
Right then, what are we looking at here? Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here.
We theorized that it may have been Asher's pincushion.
Pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here.
What language is that on the screen?
Greek. Tess, Tesseract, all noble products, and, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in Tess.
Is this just an FYI or is this evidence? I think it's just an FYI for now. Yeah, here we go. Tesseract 4.6. Oh, okay, yeah, so yeah, it's a programming language. Fictional. Is it imperative or functional? I need to know.
What does this mean, Aram? Tell us.
Programmers are asking. Virtually unchallenged as the global lingua franca programming language. Interesting. I find this aspect of your future...
What was that question you asked, and can you explain it in layman's terms?
I'm not sure how much value it would contribute to the stream, but
Okay, so never mind then.
but yeah, all my programmers in the audience, rise up.
Rise
Easy to
up
read
now.
and write.
That's the code word.
Yeah.
Stay compliant. Now, this model, what's it go by?
Sarah.
This, Sarah model. It's got everything the 16th line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing, and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like, in the idea phases. solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Data storage so large I can't. No, wow. He had to measure it using.
Hee.
Hell of a poker face.
Wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's
Hacking?
essentially.
Am I in trouble?
Does that mean it could hack its own tenets? Oh my god, can it destroy Asimov's 3 laws?
Oh shit!
Jesus.
Is this how the robot uprising starts?
With the cute little girl?
Allowing users to
Are you
designate a
surprised?
series of inviolable priorities for their code.
Yep, yeah, it's that.
Okay. Is there a very specific set that exists? Well known for no, okay, it looks like different ones use different ones. Okay.
Oh no, that's unthinkable. Literally, for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. Look, Sam Morgan!
What kind of baby?
Yeah. Is it annoying? Like, is it screaming constantly or just
Does
some
the
of
baby
time?
have brown hair and brown eyes?
Is it Baby Shark? I learned about them. Do, 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 do.
Does the baby have green hair and a metal bone so I could drop that into the street?
Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do.
Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean that there are androids?
Well, no, there aren't crazy androids like that shit in Cyberpunk, so yeah, I guess my analogy doesn't hold up.
That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems.
The industry line is that such a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeletal setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a consumer model.
Can you lift a car or something, Sarah?
Most cars, it would depend on the center of gravity.
This Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top.
Those stomping behemoths they bring out for riot suppression?
And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says... No, I can't be right.
Look, Dawes, I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when?
Right. Okay.
Are there any
Wow.
other godparents that I could hoist her off on?
Is there a second Morgan? Well, that's unfortunate. Who Crunklin? And I'm saying that this time.
Who
The crunk
Who
falls
Turgle?
silent. Yes, who Turgle.
The editing logs have been purged.
Well, that doesn't sound very above the board.
Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah, or when.
Any chance you can restore those logs?
Not here. Not with this machine. I'd need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any ideas where those would be?
Sarah?
I cannot answer that question with any accuracy.
Had a feeling you might say that. Ads, right?
Sorry. I can tell you that this code bit's unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher, whoever took very something
Different
paths.
paths to get there.
Different paths to get there.
So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside.
Sorry. Didn't expect to hit a dead end here.
You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done?
Yeah, no problem. We got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know.
Fresh for the oven? Oh no!
Oven? Gross.
Alright, few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit?
She is.
As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility.
Right then. You fine with that designation, Sarah? We can set it to anything you'd like.
Buttface.
No! No!
Oh,
Well, actually,
Not butt face.
Never mind, Sarah will do fine.
Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do
You
want
need to
reset
get my
the
whole
factory-
name in there. It's not just Sarah. It's Serrated Knife Asher.
It's serotonin. Do you want to reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks.
Not right now.
Last thing then is the grading.
A plus.
I'm reading 23 tenets here, nothing too far out of the other. Sorry, I'm nervous today.
23. It's higher than I expected, talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that.
Don't blame yourself. Guessing tenet could come from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. They only had 3 tenets total, and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents, and the first lawsuits, and the hearings, legislature.
And the demand for more tenets. Tenet making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenet stating that ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenet to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There was a campaign calling for a tenet to do the opposite.
Companies wanted their asses covered, so customers wanted guarantees. There was never much incentive to deny requested tenets, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered the market in full force.
You sound like you don't approve.
I wouldn't go that far. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there. I get that. But since the Army's are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenets, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Well, not like I was on the jury.
Department...
Except I was, and they didn't take my vote!
That's why I'm the killer. Department of Advanced Defense Projects versus Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's requests and set a new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet, changing tenets from a mandated list at the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist.
It's funny, ads with the most tenets, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenet counts are just vacuuming floors. Most impressive ones, like what you've got here, fall somewhere in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Only thing left is the evaluation.
What gets evaluated?
Total financial worth, for instance, for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had very accurate algorithms for this. I keep getting the letters mixed up because the white is like similar to the background, and I'm like, geometry. Quote unquote, no room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Whoa. I mean, I knew it was custom, but...
What?
$30.
What price? So like a buck. What?
$250.
What price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits.
You should know these formula are pretty conservative with their estimates. It's stingy, even.
If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work... They say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number...
Try not to get any scratches on it, I guess.
I think we got something, and once again, I want to see, is this evidence? It is. Okay, so motive, steal Sarah, make $1 billion? Is this a Scooby-Doo case? Takes into account the fact that Sarah is the only known android made by David Asher. They cannot create anymore. Sarah is one of a kind. The values was shimmy bibbidi boo. Totals to a very large sum.
So like a buck.
Poison?
Oh,
Chromofuge, okay. We've also got this in evidence. Interesting. And the nanofacturer. Makes sense. Alright.
You spoke differently back there.
Hmm?
With Dawes, you spoke like he did, it seemed.
Like I copied his accent?
You seemed to mirror his affect, his tone.
Ah. well, now that you've told me I did this, I wish I could go back and re-voice act the scene, but you know, sometimes we do these things. It's called being friendly. What's your point?
It was just an observation.
Birds of a feather.
You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenet required.
Why were you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adonai?
For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop, or even just a well-placed camera, could have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up with any actual data.
And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer.
No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker.
An android can't get arrested?
People get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great. You put us over the weight limit.
I did no such...
Morgan, counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors.
Who's asking?
Vice President of Android. Okay. Did someone already probably called this person?
Yeah, but it's an automated voice. It's probably not her, so I think you can continue.
Okay, I think it is her. Vice President of Android Futures, Helen Young.
Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. See, it's not her.
Okay. I'll direct your oh my god, you can do that. I'll redirect your elevator now.
Taking control of your elevator is very...
Convenient?
forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation.
Well, if Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle.
I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate.
Or just let the elevator drop. Ah!
It's okay, Adonai. Just jump when we hit the last
Yes,
floor.
jump when we hit the wall. My advanced processors have calculated the physics involved, and it completely checks out.
She just like grabs Morgan and jumps through the ceiling up to the top floor through the shaft. See? Easy.
Easy.
Oh, I was gonna say, is that her outside, or does she have a gargoyle shaped like her? According to my list, this is Oz also.
Oh boy! Okay.
Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. What do we think, boys? Fuck it. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long.
We love a neurodivergent queen. I always like this time of day.
Ah, victory is mine! Pushes her off the edge.
This red versus blue shit.
Not too muggy for you?
No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me.
You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year.
Ugh.
Thanks, ExxonMobil. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here.
Dr. Young.
Just Miss is fine.
Miss Young. I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather.
No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Let's quickly look at her profile. Oh, we got Dawes as well.
Wamana.
Bit of a Wamana, yes. This game is full of them. Rife with Wamanas. Vicky. Likes red meat, flower gardens, high thread counts. Dislikes working from home, shopping online, waiting. That's an interesting set of dislikes. Doesn't like doing anything remotely or being in one place. Just gotta be constantly on a treadmill but a treadmill that's also on wheels that's moving you somewhere. Tending baseball games. Oh, okay. Hidden talent, getting children to stop crying. Couldn't be me. Thank you, though I could say the same.
Who did we lose? Hello?
They're back.
The Discord error. Don't worry about it.
I know you and David worked together for many years.
Yes, we did. But as much as I'd like to just drop everything in process, or is it process? I don't know. The company wheels don't stop spinning for anything.
I don't know, Cess.
Or anyone.
You know, it's interesting because the packet that the devs gave us with line counts approximate says that David has like approximately 500 lines. So I'm really curious if that's just like the longest flashback in history, or if he like built a AI of himself hologram that's gonna show up or something. Like, I'm trying to figure out how that happens. But we'll see.
Hang on. Was the David we found dead not the real David, and that was
That-
an android and he finally cracked the code?
That would be very funny if true.
And the android died of fucking serotonin uptake because he OD'd on it?
And
I don't know.
Wouldn't the hospital know it was an android?
Yeah, maybe
There's-
he made it so realistic. Whoa.
There are seemingly there are contradictions, but you know, there could be some Illuminati shit where they swapped out the bodies. I don't fucking know. Anyway,
Was Dawes of any help?
she sent him? Trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative? He was great, but that must mean you know why I'm here.
I don't want to make assumptions.
No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over, and every person I speak to.
Yes, the lawyers made all that very clear.
Lawyers?
You have an android. It's not one of ours.
You can tell that quickly. Got all the faces memorized?
It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes.
If you're nuts about your work, maybe.
I know all my OCs!
It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently.
David asked you to take it?
Which was supposed to be mine to sell.
My daughter!
I was the land developer masquerading as the swamp monster.
Which Pokemon starter would you want from these three?
I've been told that you've been to David's estate already.
The police gave me full access to the scene.
Then you know that he wasn't alone last night.
Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted.
I was that witness.
Oh, good. They're not going to beat around the bush about it.
Thank
you.
God.
Really? Obviously. There aren't that many people David would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Young is his superior on paper, if not in fame, and I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation?
Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak.
Can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy, given the high-profile nature of, all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind?
Eventually you or some clever lawyer like you would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion.
Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen.
Touché.
And?
So, perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well.
You're doing this for my sake.
No, my reasonings are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all the consequences might prove therapeutic.
If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night?
Hang on. I gotta get ready. All right, we're good. Goes over to the corner, hacks up a lung. Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly.
He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person?
Booty call. We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited, and he let me in, and we talked.
About...
The good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves.
How long ago was that?
7 or 8 years ago?
Miss Young?
Putting a number on it, it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later...
That he would be dead?
That he would commit suicide in front of me.
A firm reply. What happened?
8:15, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down into his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view.
In other words, she stayed on camera.
He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. Thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep.
You tried to wake him?
He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him, and I ran to the kitchen to use security system.
Didn't think
See,
to
this
use-
is why you need a naloxone pack on hand, gang.
I got one in my book bag.
Me too.
Didn't think to use your phone?
No. I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived.
You went with them to the hospital, I take it.
Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean.
So did David's, for all the good it did him.
I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point, but I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP.
The
That's
Kakisop!
what they're... ESOP! That's what they're paid to do.
You seem certain that it was suicide.
Yes. It's not like he went down into the basement and an android came back up. It's not like he's down there on ice waiting.
That would be so funny. Why? Why
As
though?
I said! Why though? As I said, he got quieter as the time passed and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here. Said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Archer to you?
Curious, restless perfectionist David? No, I guess it doesn't. Oh, many
my God.
things we can ask
Whoa.
about.
Oh my
The
god.
cops! What about
He didn't
the
even,
cops?
I love this comment in chat. He didn't even go downstairs. He just did the fake going down the stairs
I heard
trick.
him on the top stair, just shifting his weight back and forth. It was
I could
really,
hear him breathing.
it was really fucking embarrassing. You said CCE standard operating procedure a moment ago. The legendary Kakisop. What is that?
Oh, yes, Kakisop. CCE stands for Counter Corporate Espionage, which is the industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand.
So, Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned?
They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course, usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations.
The lawyers in the back room are like, what the fuck are you doing?
Shut up! Shut up!
They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops?
Murder is fairly rare at our level. More likely they'll want us too sick to something I didn't catch.
Too sick
To work.
They drain us company. Jesus fuck, hold on. I'm getting sensory overwhelmed. Let us drain company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant.
Ah! It was you!
Oh, it makes turkey sounds and jumps out a window.
I knew she was a gargoyle! That's smart. Like snipers purposefully avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources.
That's terrible. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources.
That's nothing compared to what they do when they. Hey, Jello, do you want to take over? I'm dying.
Nope, I'm talking to Aloha and asking him about character availability.
Okay.
Too late. You're too late. You're too far into this character. You have to keep her.
Okay. That's nothing compared to when they want to turn an asset. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady. Girl, don't I know it? Or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote every 2 weeks.
That's a nasty piece of work.
It's a nasty line of work. Consulting.
I'm sorry?
That's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV.
So every consultant I've met at a cocktail party was actually...
It depends. Did they say that they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting?
How the hell am I supposed to remember? So, do your people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack?
Noble's competitors have been trying to get to David for years. And that's the time scale for their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. And they'd probably have struck first.
The cops!
What about those cops?
I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups?
There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time, under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice, our actual authority was...
Inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular.
You don't mince words. We didn't either, back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating.
The two of them made the one-point doctrine. That's not the story I've heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. Come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself.
We had this deadline, self-imposed, but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by the end of the day. Jello!
No, I think...
He's
No,
going to be coming in, though, soon. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out.
Oh.
David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer, trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David, tell him that it's not gonna happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat, and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got all night until his end of day." We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then, only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message, and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping that the harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I had been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, but together, David and we'd finally gotten a win. So, David asks if I've got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill in a cabinet at my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. He says he wants to toast. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell.
Sounds like a good memory.
Plastic cups and liquor. That was our little ritual. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us.
We got that as evidence, it would appear. And I think the other cup has been updated to her cup, since we now know that it was hers.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, we got this as evidence also, the general concept of this. Okay, this has been
Whoa.
updated to show that it's Helen's
Are you,
fingerprints.
chat, are you guys just noticing he's got the same color hair as Sarah?
Yeah, no,
Come on,
she's
guys.
obviously made in his image.
Keep
like,
up.
like God with man. Think about it.
Man?
David Asher and Helen. Who? All right.
That's a cute CG also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Can you pull that phone UI up again real quick one more time? I love the scary fucking way Sarah's eyes bleed.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I had not noticed that.
Yeah.
Not
They-
in the
They
slightest.
look like little hearts. Happy Valentine's Day.
Okay, I guess it's a product of the same effect that does the blurring out. For whatever reason, it makes the lights.
Yeah, the highlights
more
on her eyes
intense.
must be on a different luminosity layer or
but
something.
like even whether or not it was exactly intentional, they clearly deliberately left it in. I'm sure, and so that's
Yeah.
really neat. As VP of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you?
That's correct.
Didn't you join the company at around the same time?
David was always more interested in his work than he was climbing up in the ladder. He didn't like playing the corporate politics game.
So was he unpopular around here?
Not unpopular, no. Not the great Dr. David Asher. Misunderstood, perhaps.
How so?
He could be blunt, demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just... Not everyone could work at the same pace as he did, for as long as he did.
Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David? Speaking of which, I don't see any at Young's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So you would say that his work-life balance was,
Balance implies the two are at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company.
Oh, Jesus.
fascinating. So was he in harmony?
No, David always had plenty of suitors, but he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on that subject.
Right.
What do you mean?
I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings.
Morgan, what do I text them?
Scandalous.
Morgan covered in blood looking down at her phone. Ah, David.
David, you motherfucker.
Now,
David, you're a wreck. Stab, stab, stab.
As she's got the person, she's already stabbed them once, she looks at her phone, turns it to them. Can you believe this asshole? Stabs
Read
them
this shit. Read that.
Can you post? I was gonna post this to r/am I the asshole, but you just tell me, am I the asshole here? I'm not, right? Like he's being unreasonable. Stab.
No, you're not the asshole.
Oh, thank God, I needed that closure.
The A16 only entered production this year, correct?
Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday, and we began shipping in the first quarter.
I understand that you were instrumental in the success of Warm Androids.
I played my part supervising the launch, yes.
Weren't you the one who designed Synatonin? The factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts?
Oh, you're paying attention. I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years
I'm
ago.
glad she just says that instead of us having to present Synatonin to her.
it's so nice. They just cut the bullshit and they're like, what if humans talked? I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
At the time, Synatonin was little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it.
Took the
As
reins.
David poison.
He was lead broker.
We described it as David assured destruction.
I don't know why the fuck Got me so hard. He was lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. And he designed the synthetic nerves that made all that possible.
David did all of that. It's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields?
You see, he made 7 David copies to do all his
that's
work
right.
for him.
So that he could have them around in case he wanted to do a prank murder someday.
Well, no, what it was is that I found the David copies and went, wait, you've been taking credit for all of this work that your clones have been doing? Oh, I should
then
have
he
you
died.
destroyed.
Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15?
No. He used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon, he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas. And eventually, they came to follow his lead.
Just like that?
Just like that.
So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments.
Bro, that's how parents tell you. They're like, hey, why don't you just go put in a resume or walk in and ask for a job? And you're like, gang, it don't work like that. That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Asher was.
Maybe they weren't paying him enough.
The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years.
So, this android, Sarah.
Huh?
Even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from.
Sorry, I was reading chat. It's not in any of our systems?
I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project?
Hat?
No, he never gave me any indication like that. And if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself, and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice.
He never mentioned me?
No, never.
Oh.
Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card?
The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody, not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom.
You have a mailroom?
Yes, would you like to go and play in the pneumatic tubes, little darling?
Yes.
M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E.
Yeah, I was like, where is the female room?
You're in it!
Yeah, darling, every building in this game is the female
This
room.
is of the devil, darling.
Not since the 30s, just a figure of speech. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record. But no one would deny Dr. David Asher's information. No one would deny him words. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself.
I don't understand it. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal, except the hacking stuff. So why keep it secret?
I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results.
Could be.
Can you soften that a little?
Well,
No.
thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Ooh, witness testimony.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They've updated witness testimony to her testimony.
Yeah.
And did they add any new stuff that wasn't already there? No, that pretty much looks like the same one that we saw before. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you.
A difficult day for all of us.
A message from Fran? I'm running out of leads to chase. The brat better have good news.
Are you really going to take this to court?
That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of.
And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide?
I guess I haven't decided what I believe.
Woo! I finally get to eat my cookie. Oh!
Hooray!
Would you kindly slow the hell down?
I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I walking too quickly for you?
That wasn't walking. That was speed walking up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different.
Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. No,
No, take a crack at it, Will. What do you think?
no, that's not nice.
Shen Xiao.
Zhen Chao?
Is it like that? Just let me catch my breath for a minute.
Adonai? Is it possible that you are out of shape?
No,
But since we left the cab, your heart rate is...
I'm not wearing the right clothes or the right shoes.
Is that so?
Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun's reaching its zenith.
That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temp?
You said it would be a short walk from street level, so I prepared myself mentally for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket, and you didn't mention we'd have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here?
The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it.
Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me someone from the city orchestra or a jazz club. The champagne flute and teacup kind of musician. I'm trying to remember.
David's teacup.
David's teacup confirmed for Smash. Hang on, real quick. Is flute, as in flute of champagne, also spelled that way? Yes, okay, it is.
Yes.
I just remember that, it's not a very commonly used thing. But this is the tequila and neon part of town.
It should be in view if we turn... Adonai, be careful.
Of what?
It's a stray. It's bearing its fangs, too. It could be carrying diseases. You should...
Relax.
Adonai, it's growling.
It's not growling at me. See?
So it's just me that it doesn't like.
Too much static.
How'd you get it to calm down?
It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm.
Do you like animals?
What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals?
Aram and I look at each other.
Hey, I don't dislike animals. I dislike certain subclasses of animal.
Subclass. Do you have a pet?
No.
I do now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, never have.
Why not?
Because I don't want to take care of a pet.
That seems counterintuitive to me.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. And it don't need to make sense to you, shoot.
Shoot! But
You notice you're only this talkative when it's just the two of us? Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety?
It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today, I have rarely been addressed directly by people, other than you.
In other words, you're shy.
That is not what I... Can I try petting it?
There's no law against it.
At the hospital. My hand! This is the establishment.
Now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims.
Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met?
Was he cheating on me? Was there another man? I think he was close with him, yeah. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night.
So they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together?
That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about.
Inappropriate? Adonai, it's only...
I'm getting a very important text message from my private investigator. Excuse me.
Did you catch the killer yet?
No.
Jello, you said that completely wrong. You know that's supposed to be the killer.
But it's
I'm
hard
sorry.
to...
Are we giving each other notes now on my first line? in 2 hours?
Yeah, man.
It's
I
also...
didn't say
I
anything.
love you.
It's hard to put the Xer, then not have it be the end of a sentence, because you go, did you catch the killer yet?
What the hell? I sent you his paws.
I'm at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now.
Lame.
Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Asher a corporate sellout in your eyes?
Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Asher gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect.
Well, that's almost sweet, I think.
Asher started out working in Cube. So in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like, I don't know. As a kid, he built all his bricks by hand or something.
You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies.
Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger.
I take it Cube is a programming language. What's special about it?
Square. Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically.
But not Cube.
You can look it up. But basically, Cube was originally for robotics and, like, machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines, under the ocean, middle of nowhere fields with zero signal service. So Cube had to be self-sufficient.
How rugged.
Where'd Asher learn Cube, anyway? It's older than Dirt. Like, from the 40s.
I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something.
Vague.
Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family. Oh yeah, I do recall a very pointed line in the opening dialogue where it's like, your parents must be proud of you. No. Or something.
Yeah.
And I never asked.
What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai?
Not telling.
Oh, I can just hack it.
Ooh, we can inspect the bars. Stage for the talent. Pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark. Once you get past the bouncer.
Do you think they might have met here?
David and Porter? I can't see David walking in here.
Because you found the walk so challenging?
Because it's too loud to relax. Not dark enough to be anonymous.
I see.
What's that face? You got an opinion to share?
The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite...
I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like?
early 21st century punk rock.
Is that just you, or does that go for all androids?
Let's
I
fucking
have-
go.
I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them.
In my opinion, all androids should exclusively use the Sum 41 voice. I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say.
If they're smart, they'd say that music peaked with the early 21st century punk rock.
Debate settled. Oh, I can't look
What?
at that. I can't look at that butt. I think that's just like a hole or something, but it looks like one cheek and you can just barely start to see the other one. There's our man.
Porter just hanging out.
A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. I hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste in the gap between chewing and swallowing. So you can, like, eat things?
Tell me
Yes,
if this sucks.
Okay, eats ashtray. Oh, awful!
Yeah. What, like android food?
There was no such product.
So what do androids eat?
Beef.
Online user guides for Noble's Warm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes.
Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drinks and energy bars and charger separation anxiety.
That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets if they need to forego electrical charging long term.
Processed pellets? You mean like kibble? Like dog food?
No, it is not like dog food at all.
And you buy it from the pet store?
It seems that you can,
How is this something you have to look up anyway?
because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me.
Like what?
Evidence.
Marbled beef, never hydroponic avocados, foie gras.
Yeah,
You
no,
did a
got that
really
right.
good job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You did
Wait,
it.
Hang on.
Foie gras.
Also,
need-
David Asher losing points in my book for serving foie gras. Fuck you.
I feel I really had to pause because in Phantasy Star Online, the fire spell is called that, and I've always called it foy.
Foy. Hang on. We got one of, oh, it's search. Okay, that's right. We got something new just now. CUR, automated Blake for
Never hydroponic.
Never hydroponic. Yeah, I was just curious. Sourcing food exclusively from natural sunlight.
Oh
I
my
see.
god.
Oh my god!
God. You need to
love-
be. You need to be such a high level of uber wealthy to even.
I love the world building in this game. There's always some like little nugget of like Jesus Christ.
Also, marbled beef. Marbled beef.
Yeah.
It all connects. Ooh.
Oh my god. That sort of thing.
That sort of thing. Beef that if you don't shave off the top layer, it does weird, shitty stuff, and then you can put it in a drink and die?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I am not paying for any of that. Looks like that's everything else we can look at. Let's talk to our
Give
man.
burger.
That one over there. He matches the photo Fran sent. Should I approach? Uh-oh. Wait, are you saying that because there is actually something to look at and I haven't seen? Hang on. I'm just going to very carefully comb up and... Oh! Wait. Aha!
Whoa!
What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview? Exclusive sit-down with luxury. You've seen her face, huh? Get all your burning questions about her. The mysterious young woman who's being called the most beautiful woman in the world. It's a pseudonym to give me a little... Now it's a brand. I can't change it without setting the stock market into a spin. After partnering with you...
3,000%?
Jesus. I'm happy for... Yeah, okay, yay! I'm happy for them, of course. Who are you wearing, by the way? Can't wear anyone unless I'm attending something. If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars every time I leave the house. Stress is bad for your skin, right? They see mine's flawless. Can't argue that. Be a little bratty. Act a little spoiled. Keeps you young. How old are you? 18 to 29, now and forever.
What are you, Mo?
Yeah. I'm turning 23 again this year.
Congrats, Mo.
It might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe. It is one hell of a face. This world is all lesbians. In the meantime, she is
Powerful.
It's kind of a matter of philosophical debate. I mean, powerful seems like the correct answer, like the objectively correct answer.
But she is like technically, well, yeah, fair enough.
Some rises are too meteoric for even the Megs to grab the reins on. At this point, luxury's got them at her mercy. She can send their stocks into disarray with one selfie. Good for her. Okay, yeah, that's him all right. Looks like he's killing time before his sets tonight.
Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai?
Damn, this guy was just like, fuck shirts. Like, I'll wear a facsimile of one.
He
but it-
into club. What do you expect?
It better not disguise anything.
God, his nails did too.
I'm gonna wear this jacket to strategically chafe my nipples, but nothing else. I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me, I'll... You know what? This is like our last lead that we know of, and it's getting late in the day. I'm gonna play it, so I'm just gonna be like, hey, he's dead. What do you know? Isaac Porter?
What's up?
My name's Morgan. I was David's friend. Right now, I'm his lawyer. Can we talk?
Depends. Were you a friend from work?
No.
Over here.
Thanks, Isaac.
Don't thank me yet. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So, what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend?
I'm his defense attorney.
I think you miss a butts on that there, yeah?
And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday.
Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks.
You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died.
How the hell?
Isaac, it's pretty obvious that you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary, so why don't we cut to the chase? No lies, no playing coy.
Fine.
Sarah?
Yes, Adonai?
The hell? Is that thing transmitting?
I am not streaming any data, no.
Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court.
Fine.
You two were together, is that correct?
We were together. I ended it. Oh shit, alright. Yesterday.
Oh!
Care to elaborate?
On our entire relationship?
Look, you can tell me everything once, and I can get it on record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months.
We met in a bar. I'd seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth, but not looking with his eyes. Ticked me off. Scribbling on napkins and letting his single gin and tonic sweat on the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes. And he'd still sit there the rest of the night, unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or most confident man in the world. And he'd tick me off. One night, things were slow, and Moss said he'd been cancelled and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he'd insisted on coming there night after night, just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, "Because I like your music." Man, did that tick me off. It was cute early on. Him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever.
Until?
There was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point, I started to understand where his priorities were. It's a hard accent to say some words in. And how I ranked in them.
Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed he would also be that passionate about me at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset. He'd just apologize. Didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. That was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights not giving a shit while people walked away, and still I had this stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. That I would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it.
Last night.
I called him. Didn't expect he'd pick up. I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or ad or whatever. But he answered. First ring. Without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. And that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he'd made me feel the past few months. I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as a boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Asher.
And what did he say?
He apologized. And then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him.
Woof.
I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in a warm disdain for him and his coldness. He had made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? And now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Asher over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking for too much.
Boy, the black men do not do well in this game.
I kind of got the impression that the guy in the last case was Hispanic.
You're almost certainly right based on his name. I'll revise that. Men of color, having a rough run between this guy, Carlos Flat, and David Asher himself.
And that's what happens when you're not a lady in this lesbian world.
Honestly, no, yeah, correct. It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide. That was a good job. Oh, well, he's not gone yet, but good job with this guy, by the way, Jello.
No, goodbye.
I can't wait to see what horrors happen to Kasim.
You serious?
You don't have all the facts.
And you do. Any one of them point to anything else? Thought so.
Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it.
That's it? No summons?
The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that.
It's the court, huh?
Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go.
Your discography is very impressive.
Yeah. Thanks.
And your range is remarkable. So it pained me to see that all your work in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think...
Well, what the hell would you know about any of that?
What's
the matter? Can't find the words. Need to steal them from somewhere first. Butcher them before shitting them back out.
I was not trained on any data sets that...
No. Pardon me. My mistake, really. Not your fault you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century.
Sarah, we're leaving. What the hell was that about?
He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model in early 21st century...
Not that. Why'd you talk to him?
I wanted to. I just felt that I should say something to him.
Word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging.
You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai?
Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on, there's not much time left.
Is there still somewhere you want to investigate?
Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, only one place I could find it at this point.
The moon.
Hard cut to the moon.
Not you guys making the same joke.
This happens. But technically, Jello was faster.
I suppose.
Rare.
That's the opposite of the moon. That's the wrong direction.
The basement.
Well, don't forget, it's a basement on the 33rd floor, so they have gone up.
Oh.
Maybe-
Okay, it's the relative moon.
Maybe the moon's on the other side of the planet right now. You ever think of that?
Yeah.
I did. I was just hoping you guys would give me the grace of the joke.
Chat,
The
Sarah
basement.
not beating the chat GPT allegations.
Poor Sarah. You sure you don't want another look at the crime scene?
I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle.
The other angle?
You know, inductive versus deductive. Flip the chessboard and all that.
Turn your thinking around, Adonai.
Haven't you ever read a mystery novel?
I've seen mystery films.
Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Asher?
Poison.
10 points.
There's a point system?
Now, how did that poison get into his bloodstream?
He must have ingested it orally.
Aloha.
And how do we know that?
The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds.
And if he had inhaled it?
Inhaled it? Why,
Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them.
I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice.
Practice by answering my question.
I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler.
Right. An airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area, and no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we're left with is oral intake.
Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai?
Jung's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. And the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home.
Except for his cup. The results were inconclusive.
Jung was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude then that David's cup alone was poisoned.
Bless you. That all seems logical. And consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So, why are we down here?
Minus 10 points.
Back to zero!
David left the parlor and came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Jung told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story.
So we have to conclude then that he got them both from this bar?
Better. 5 points.
He.
Did he also get the poison from the cabinet?
The police have been in here since we left. According to their ARCS file, they didn't find anything that matches that poison down here.
So, the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then. I need to flip this around again.
But if you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back to...
If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything?
Girlfriend.
Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself.
He wouldn't do that.
And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera?
From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from his bar.
So if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes, and he didn't poison himself in that time...
He would have a perfect alibi for the crime.
Bro, what if he also had a secret elevator that he could control in the building that took him a different direction?
What if he came down here and was like, my marble floor looks kind of weird, and got down and licked it for those 4 minutes?
What if they dropped a poison bullet from a blimp?
You're right, you're right.
Teleported?
Yeah, and teleported.
What if the cup teleported, proving his innocence?
But, Adonai, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here.
I think there are.
What do you mean?
Did you see that sick POV shot just now?
Oh,
That was weird. I thought it was a glitch.
How
that's
did you
scary.
teleport onto the ceiling for a second, Adonai?
This whole building is coated head to toe in Penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on every floor, it's all plugged into Penumbra. Except that.
That panel is...
Manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse?
I've never given it much thought.
Well, it's been bothering me all day. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall.
You mean...
Signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before?
It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not... He would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home.
At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence?
Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command.
Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it.
I have called the police. You are now going to jail.
Cool. I have called the police. You are the heartbreak killer? Just guessing, but they'll believe me. Did you really need me to say that?
For the purposes of record keeping, yes.
If you...
I've gotten past the 64-digit code, and I've found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorize, they are on a separate network from the rest of the building.
Where are they feeding to, if not the Penumbra system?
Behind my hibernation unit.
Oh,
A false wall in the back of a safe.
Dark Souls.
That's some Dark Souls shit. My dad loved Dark Souls. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside
I
his
know
own
the
home?
code goes over thrust but hole.
Don't give up, skeleton.
don't give up, skeleton!
Fortnite.
Beats me. He was brilliant and more than a little odd. Throw in a
Beats
little.
me. Command accepted.
I gave that to Lady Micaiah. How dare you? Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric.
I see, I think.
Time for crab.
Time for curry, friend.
I don't. The hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... Time short. Gather facts now, leave the computation for later.
Oh, there's a new advance.
Oh, we can re-inspect some things. They might give new money.
Oh,
The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. No poison to be found here. Well, not that kind of poison anyway. In which case... Can I make you anything?
well, if you're offering, I'll have...
Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever?
Technically,
Took that one a lot worse than I expected.
I am baby.
cheer up. Maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder.
This is a rolling ladder. A kind of step
Shut the fuck up. Shut
They
the fuck
did
up.
it!
Shut the fuck up.
Never mind. My negative review from whatever it was earlier, a 10 out of 10 positive review now.
Well, I've balanced the universe out by updating my review.
They have the one thing any Ace Attorney fan will look at and go and clap like a seal. Except
That's
for
not true. What about fucking? It's not Christmas. It's almost Christmas.
Okay, yeah, I
means
know
it's
you're
not
correct.
Christmas.
There's more than one thing.
This is, yeah.
What?
Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out.
And?
It's important to know the distinction.
I'd bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again, ever.
I think distinctions are important. It's just like when it's midnight.
Shut up!
What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry?
It was for the David clones, I'm telling you.
What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising?
Did you ever see him use any of this crap?
No, but he must have used the weights when I wasn't looking, since he promised me that he'd take better care of his health.
Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like these even if he was piloting a frame.
Don't be so sure, Adonai.
Pardon?
The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the events and in its aftermath.
Oh my god, we've entered creepypasta mode.
Whoa.
Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the global
Donka.
dunk. Because I always joke about it, I was like going to call it
Danky Kang!
Yankee!
Danky King Bank on Fredericksburg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings. But the man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller only had this to say: "That man was all muscle." The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident, and the man exits the building just as the police arrive on the scene, when suddenly, his suitcase explodes. But it's just smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there.
That's a
Renowned
fucking X-Man.
That was Bruce Banner. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist, Dr. Werner
Kurtzer.
Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder.
Do you have a 6-letter way you could describe that to me?
No, I don't. Sorry, I'm fresh out.
That's right, the man had a split personality.
Yeah, I got a 6-letter. Coolio.
I'm thinking Jekyll.
Dude, is that Popeye? Did the spinach wear off?
I think
Yeah.
Jekyll has 5 letters.
Fuck, I thought it was 2 L's.
Maybe.
Actually, I think it
Amy,
is,
look
yeah.
at the book you just got.
What? It's upstairs.
No.
Fuck, if only we had the internet. And so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say a man like Father can't do, just because of how he looks on the outside.
I stopped listening to you minutes ago.
Sarah, every single word you just said was false.
Huh?
Don't believe everything you read on the net. 1981, that could have been, I guess that was too early for 4chan, but the story could have circulated there.
In chat, Diavolo.
Diavolo!
I read it on Lord Chan. Is that just not
Lord.
correct?
I hate the new fan nickname for Lorelei Blind Deaf.
So, is that the original?
It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine.
Well, at least he didn't get ripped off.
This painting has a very interesting story. In 1981,
I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see?
pink.
I see A meeting. Or perhaps an encounter? Two apex forces of nature, two kings of the forest, the stag and the tiger. I think.
Great. I'm officially less cultured than the robot. Okay, I think that's everything. Can we look at the car now? No.
Don't look, Adonai, like gets in front of her.
Maybe it's best to stop stalling and try to move. Although, every time they've given me a choice, there's been something I've missed. So I'm going to very carefully... Fan blade? Nope. Column. Speakers or whatever the fuck that is on the wall. Equipment. Crack in the floor. Okay, there we go. What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation?
I painted a black crack on it to trick intruders.
Walks over. Oh my god, she did. This is just marker. I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before.
It's new. This is where he did the marble licking.
With his corrosive tongue.
Might want to get those eyes checked.
There's nothing wrong with my vision.
David was like Aloha, and he just has acidic sweat that melts shit he touches over prolonged periods of time.
This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation.
Given that, I would not be surprised if it were relevant. I guess we'll know if we get it as a piece of evidence. How? Did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over in the same spot? All right, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh?
Essentially, though a bunk bed would imply a second or third.
How do we open it?
One moment. I see. I don't know.
Got it open already?
I cannot open this door.
Why?
It is a Tethys Basic Sturdicure. Sturdicure.
But that anti-hack feature in the name is real?
It's a closed system, Adonai.
How am I supposed to do now?
Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters.
I don't follow.
When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating.
And he made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning, this is a door that only I can open?
It'll be a 6-character password. 6 characters.
It's not what you're thinking.
It's Jekyll.
It's Jekyll, the Jekyller.
It's Hyde!
Did you and Father have an influential moments? Any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word?
Nothing comes to mind.
Killer.
Is there a code word that he knew only I could learn? Oh, they're just... Oh, okay, hang on. Now I actually want to... I won't leave the stream parked forever, but I do want to genuinely see if I can think of what this might be.
I mean, is it her name, Morgan?
That would be very funny. Oh.
Is it David too?
Oh, no.
I assume you don't get one try. You can type a couple things.
M-O-R-G. Was that your name you just tried?
It's 6 characters, isn't it?
Yes, but it's not exactly secure, Adonai. Oh, is it Adonai?
Oh, maybe.
Anyone
maybe.
who knew you and Father were close could have tried guessing it. Was there some word that only the two of you knew? A nickname?
Pretty much everyone just calls me Morgan. But not everyone.
I mean, Evangeline's too long,
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
they're hinting. Yeah, not everyone, because Sarah doesn't call her Morgan.
It's opening! That was the password. What was the password, Adonai?
Good thinking. You'd never guess.
Okay.
Butts
Shutting
with
down.
2 S's.
You were wrong. It was 8 characters. It was butt face.
No!
Did feel
Father
a bit.
knew.
Did feel a bit out of character. David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here, it all makes sense.
That was the noise he made as he was poisoned. He made this haunting sound before he passed.
In chat! Ah, yes! Marvel Rivals!
Well, you know what they say. Everyone needs a hand sometimes. Or a dagger.
I'll
God.
kill
It's
you.
a panic room.
What if the password is Jarvis?
Jarvis,
Is it too
rename
late?
my
Is it-
android butt face.
I was gonna say, is it too late to rename you?
Scary.
A panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints.
So when Nobu built this penthouse for one of their executives,
Someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all of this. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality.
I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sounds, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates.
You mean you can smell?
Better than any human, and some canines.
So, does it smell stale in here to you?
Stale?
It doesn't to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer.
You don't think the console is password protected?
2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton android, and a secret phrase. If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in.
You're looking for camera footage?
I'd also
Just 3 gay people looking at each other.
I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for video files. They'll probably be time-stamped and formatted for short-range devices.
I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. The most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday at around 4 p.m.
You were asleep then. So the only person who could get in here at that time is David himself. Alright, let's see it then.
Of course. It's just that I am having difficulty.
Try double-clicking?
I've been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, Adonai. But they are encrypted.
Damn it, David.
BRB.
You leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your computer? What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor, or I could bluff them into...
These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work.
We will have to download Handbrake.
Shit. If David Asher handwrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could... Hey, was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special?
Adonai,
Can you break his encryption, yes or no?
with enough time,
Only when it's at the pivotal moment of the trial. And how much time would that be?
2 minutes.
I would estimate it at 2 to 6 hours. That's a pretty big window.
That's a 4-hour window. What Will said.
No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process.
2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started.
I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago.
Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time.
I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes, so long as the work required is rote.
So you're doing it in the back of your head.
Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full, undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive.
Oh no.
Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery?
I have copied the encrypted files and will work on them as we travel. We can learn whenever you're ready. We can leave whenever you're ready. Gah.
I'd like to learn them now, please.
Okay, shuts down, falls on the ground.
Punk. Still can't
I'm back.
believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far. And the computer's not the only thing in here. The cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds and holdings, a platinum bar. His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Asher's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder.
Congrats, trans
David,
king.
yeah, David was, David was also a lesbian all along. Noble's logo on the front and in the middle. Enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. They're masking it in legalese even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me. Ooh.
Did you get a snack, Oz?
No.
Oh, I thought I
A
heard some
binder
crunching.
containing the full text.
Somebody's crunching, but it's not me this time.
Details, compensation, grounds for dismissal, definitions from Constitution and armor. Okay. Interesting.
It must be very important if you're giving it to me.
It's certainly very heavy.
Was there anything else in there?
Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up?
It is a possibility, isn't it?
Maybe in a corny old murder mystery.
A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries.
There is something else. Your papers.
Purebred.
That Evangeline Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah.
It's dated to a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was that just a backup plan? Ooh, Sarah's papers. That's kind of nice. If you click it, like, as evidence is going in, it just takes you straight there.
Hmm.
I love scribble, scribble, scribble. Sarah, scribble,
Sarah,
scribble, scribble,
Cool.
David Asher.
David Asher. Signed by David Asher, but not dated. Wait, I thought she just said it was dated several weeks ago, or am I stupid? Hang on. There is a log in this, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's dated to a few weeks back. Huh. That's weird. Is that an intentional contradiction, or was that 2 different drafts of the story? Well, I guess we'll see.
We'll find out.
How it comes up. At least we've got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now.
Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it?
Not if people realize how precious you are.
Duh.
As a collector's item. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are, but Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings, unless I had something like this.
It's good that you do, then. I'm glad that Father wanted me to go with a friend of his.
Yeah. This'll get me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college.
You could at least pick a charitable institution.
Oh, it's just an old saying. All colleges have been for profit since the 60s.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
You can cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority.
There was an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation.
That's irritating. But I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there.
The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7.
Jesus.
If you'd like, I can pick you up and run.
I'll prepare on the way over.
Very good, Adonai.
Master
How do you spell that word? I feel like I've got most of the letters, but I'm messing it up. Adonai.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was...
Does it excite you, going into courtrooms?
What do you mean?
You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel a fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses?
Do you really think this is gonna be like some kind of movie where the good guys save the day?
Probably not. Though that would be nice if it were.
What's your deal, anyway? Did David train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something?
We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking, though he was rarely one who suggested it.
So you were the aggressor. What's an android get out of watching a flick anyway?
What do I get?
Why do you do it? What's your reason?
I'm not sure how to answer your question.
Never mind. Forgot what I was talking to.
I like the performances.
Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something?
He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance.
The one thing that we've never managed to get right, even after the Turing solution, androids can't be gay. Everyone else in the world is now.
The truth is, besides Father, I have very little experience when it comes to people.
That's actually why androids have to be manufactured. They have entirely functional human reproductive systems, but they're the only straight beings in the world. No one else will have relations with them.
All humans come from straight androids.
You'd be shocked at what the biggest hurdle for making warm androids is.
You, of course, remember the Awakening, right?
We've tried everything we could. The reason my hair is this color is because Father thought the frogs would turn me gay.
And thus I was blessed with pronouns.
Jesus Christ.
I hadn't
My
noticed.
goodness.
I read the net and I watch people and what they share of their lives. But it's all so subtle, so hard to follow. There are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're all so complex, so detailed. But the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate. Their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction. So these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and end. And the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You can just watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai?
What about me?
Do you like movies?
Yeah, sure. Like when I was a kid.
Really? Who was your favorite director? What was your favorite film?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Okay.
Sounds fake, but okay.
I liked Ice Age.
I was more of a Happy Feet kid myself. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse.
I suddenly hate everyone in this cast.
I love it, just like talking about, I was watching the actors, but like Sid, I got that guy.
Really?
Really?
I enjoyed watching the actors, but surprisingly, my favorite film was Pixar's Cars. Though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers. All-encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues. The couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead. Or that he'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain loudly, of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered in my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? It must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide. And I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. Maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor an ad's suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at?
I am halfway through Ice Age 2. Only 4 more movies to go.
If you would like, I can play it at full volume. Just like in the courthouse.
Opens her mouth like Stitch.
I can confirm that I am making progress.
Well, shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But it would be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a completion percent.
Give it your best shot anyway.
4%. Are you feeling confident in your case?
Markedly less so after hearing that.
Do you think the judge will be amenable to your argument?
What are you talking about?
Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict?
Adjutants are always a coin flip, so...
Hmm.
You do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and gavel when we get in there?
Should I not?
Adjutants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails.
What?
I am surprised to hear that people are willing to
What?
accept rulings made by automated dependents.
Ruling...
I have to shoot this place up right now.
Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm.
So, androids are used to reduce caseload?
Been that way for decades.
But how was a law that replaced judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions stalling?
No, judges did fight it for years at every level and in every theater. But the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. Pick one. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants.
And it's not controversial? Having machines determine sentencing for human beings?
Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week.
What I'm saying is we only have 3 days to make our case.
And that's not rushing things?
Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure.
I'm just surprised to hear that there's so much haste.
Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick.
I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Why aren't they used in politics?
That's a logical question to ask.
And the answer is...
But logic only gets you so far when it comes to people.
Doesn't everyone want the courts to be as just as possible? If adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible...
Everyone wants justice, sure. But there are other considerations to be had.
Such as?
Disgust.
What?
That's all people really care about. What all their morals boil down to. Just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras, and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with.
I don't understand.
Yeah, well, therein lies the problem.
Okay. I'm clearly asking for answers. Ice Age 2 is complete.
I like the squirrel. I hope he gets his nut one day.
He deserves it. He is trying so hard.
I
Ice Age
think-
3, activate.
I think we're going into court, which means this is probably where we're going to want to stop. Yep.
I mean, it is also hitting the 3-hour
Yeah,
mark.
no, this
so.
timed out perfectly, actually. Well. Next,
Well done, designers.
next time we're going to do the trial. I suppose I can part with one of my beautiful
No, go to the
pairs of
empty.
women.
Go to the empty. Go to the empty.
No,
Oh,
there's
my
no
God.
sacrifice otherwise.
God, Jesus.
So, yeah, next time we at least start the trial, I don't know if it's going to be as long as the everything before the trial, in which case, 2 streams, or if it's something we can fit into one, but either way, I'm sure we are at least at the halfway point. So yeah, barring unforeseen, earthquakes, etc., we should be back next week to continue and possibly finish, we'll see. And yeah, that'll be at the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, next Friday. And until then, I hope carry the devil with you in your hearts on this, the most loving of days.
Mm-hmm.
Drake and Josh, everyone.
Drake
Drake
and
and
Josh.
Josh.
Bye bye.
Toodles.